This is Newsmax TV. I'm Ashley Martella. Arizona SB 1070 is all over the news lately. The state's immigration enforcement law went into effect days ago, but not before a federal judge blocked some of the most controversial parts of it. We're pleased to be joined by the co-sponsor of the legislation, State Senator Russell Pearce. Senator Pearce is himself a highly decorated peace officer. He received a Medal of Valor during his 35 years as an officer of the Maricopa County Sheriff's Department. He rose to the position of Chief Deputy Sheriff. Welcome to Newsmax, Senator.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
When you learned that federal judge Susan Bolton, a Clinton appointee, had issued an injunction against some of the key elements of your law, what went through your mind?
Well, first of all, people need to understand, this was a huge win. I mean, everybody wants to talk. And again, I've introduced this bill 05, 06, 07, 08, 09, 2010. So it's been a long battle. And each time, I think it's been a better bill as I prepare for the fist fight that I knew was coming, being sued by the open border crowd, the left-wing folks who fight on any effort to enforce law. And so I knew it was coming. And you know, as we put this bill forward, recognizing that, we won. We won everything we really needed to win. The main thrust of 1070 was we have sanctuary policies in this country, including Arizona. They're actually illegal under federal law. They're in violation of 8 U.S.C. 1644 and 1373. It's against the law to have them. But they don't sue them, but they sue Arizona because we decided to enforce the law. All 1070 was intended to do, and the other parts that she blocked temporarily were important tools in there. There's no doubt about it. You've got to carry your indicia, your paperwork, your visa with you. We just made that a state law, so you could have a state statute for arresting folks who haven't applied for permission to be in this country, called a trespass provision on a state level. But what did go into effect, people need to understand, is sanctuary policies in the state of Arizona are now illegal. She didn't block that piece. They're illegal. So law enforcement may enforce the federal law to the full extent of the law, which there is never been a preemption, never been a limitation other than political. Law enforcement has inherent authority to enforce immigration laws if it was written into state statute. So we removed those sanctuary political handcuffs off from law enforcement. Now they may enforce the law. And if they don't, I'm a firm believer in one of the founding principles of this nation that was in our founding document, we the people. And we the people will sue our government, that's also in the bill, if they block or interfere or limit the enforcement of these laws in any manner, and we will sue. And the other piece stayed in there was a piece on the late day labor issue, felony to hire them, 26-year high unemployment. We're going to stop the hiring of illegal aliens and taking jobs from Americans. And if you pick up an illegal alien day labor, you're going to go to jail.
Did Arizona have sanctuary cities, Senator?
Absolutely. Phoenix Mesa, Phoenix Mesa, Chandler, Tucson, and some others. Yes, sir, absolutely.
Okay, and please tell us about what the law says about the sanctuary cities.
It says that you will not have a policy that limits or restricts law enforcement in any capacity to enforce these laws. And as I've said, there has never been a preemption. And so states now have the handcuffs off. Every city must rewrite their policy to have no policy restricting or limiting, or they will be sued up to a $5,000 per day fine for every day that policy stays in effect.
All right, talking about the law on Fox News Sunday, Sarah Palin said Governor Brewer has the cojones that our president does not have. How do you react to that comment?
Well, I reacted very well to that comment. And again, you ought to understand, I mean, I appreciate the governor's vigilance in his defense. And I was grateful. I was always a little concerned and disappointed when she sat on it for 5 days debating to sign it. It would have been signed the day it hit my desk if I'd have been the governor. But since her signing it, this governor has absolutely been vigilant in his defense. And I appreciate that. This is the rule of law. During the debate of 1070, as you know, a good friend of mine on the border, Rob Krentz, was murdered. Right after Napolitano, your Homeland Security Director, said the borders are more secure than ever. Simply not true. 15 Phoenix police officers, just to pick on Phoenix, 15 Phoenix police officers murdered and maimed at the hands of illegal aliens. And I can go through the list of victims, and it's a long list. You know, Tracy Kelly, 17-year-old Highland High School, beautiful young lady killed. Chris Miller killed. 15-year-old in Scottsdale raped. 15-year-old in Guadalupe kidnapped or raped. We just sentenced an illegal alien 169 years for multiple child molestations and rapes, breaking into homes and raping, molesting young children. I mean, enough is enough. $2.7 billion a year in Arizona to educate, medicate, and incarcerate. It's about time somebody became vigilant in the defense of the rule of law and the citizens that pay the price for this illegal alien invasion that can no longer be ignored.
So a lot of these folks coming in from over the border are not just coming in to pick lettuce, is what you're saying.
No, in fact, 20% of them already have criminal convictions, just under 20%. What's coming across that border, and after Rob Krentz was murdered, I had the ranchers from Sassabee to Douglas, the entire span of that border, come up to the Capitol, and I gave them a day of testimony before my committee. And I said, tell me your story. Story after story about things are worse, their comments, worse than they've ever been on that border. Their dogs' throats are cut, their cattle are slaughtered, their fences are torn down, their water lines are destroyed, and water's everything to them down there. They raise cattle. You drain those tanks, their cattle die. This destroys everything. Their homes are invaded, one family. 18 burglaries, 3 home invasions, multiple vehicles stolen. At nighttime, they hear noise outside. They pray for daylight. They pray for daylight. You know, they have their doors boarded, their windows boarded. And we have a federal government that stands by and thinks that's okay. That's just collateral damage as they move forward with their agenda of amnesty.
All right, Senator, a few more topics to cover quickly here. Virginia's Republican Attorney General Ken Cuccinelli has jumped into the debate, saying police in the Commonwealth can ask about immigration status after stops or arrests. Are you encouraged by other states following Arizona's footsteps?
Over 20 states are going to model legislation after 1070. So yeah, I'm extremely encouraged. In fact, I've talked with 34 states that would like to do it, but don't have a legislature or a governor that would sign a bill. 22 states now think they can actually get something done. So yeah, and that's what scares the Obama administration. They're not worried about profiling, they know better. They're demeaning to law enforcement. They're not worried about unlawful contacts. They're not worried about anything except enforcement. They're really what worries them is the fact the laws are actually going to be enforced.
In your opinion, why are they scared of enforcement?
Well, 2 major reasons, I believe. First of all, you got the open border anarchists who want to change the political makeup of America, and that's through changing the demographics. And their best hope is open borders. They simply have no respect for the laws in any way. They don't believe in borders, and you've got all these folks that have joined that group. Then you got the other side, what I call the corporate oligarchy, profits over patriotism crowd, and they want cheap labor, and they don't care what the cost is to America, and they tend to have the thick checkbooks on K Street in D.C. and have a stranglehold on Washington, D.C., while Americans, 70 to 80%, say close the borders, enforce the law, and yet you've got this push for amnesty.
Another part of the immigration problem we know you're interested in, so-called anchor babies. Now, some, like South Carolina U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham, say birthright citizenship needs to be changed. Assuming you agree with Senator Graham, what should the U.S. policy be changed to?
This will probably be the first time I've ever agreed with Senator Graham. I'll be very candid. He's not one of my favorite people in the world. I think his open border amnesty approach, it kind of surprised me, but I do agree with him here. First of all, the 14th Amendment has been misused. It's a policy, not a law. We've ignored this. The 14th Amendment, as you know, was written in 1866, ratified in 1868. It was intended to fix a problem that needed to be fixed, and that's recognizing our responsibility to the African Americans that were here. They had a right. This is their legacy. This was stolen from them. This gave them their rightful place at the table has been abused. It never was intended to be used for aliens, legal or illegal. It's an unconstitutional declaration of citizenship to those born to non-citizens.
Senator John Kyle says that when he asked President Obama to secure the border, Obama's response was that if he did it, it would remove the incentive for Republicans to negotiate on comprehensive immigration reform. Now, former Colorado Congressman Tom Tancredo calls that refusal to enforce the law an impeachable offense. What's your take on it?
Absolutely. Article 4, Section 4 of the United States Constitution guarantees to every state a Republican form of government and a protection from invasion. What's coming across that border today, even Time Magazine, not a conservative publication at all, recognized 5,000 to 10,000 folks come across that border daily. And what's coming across, like I said, 20% have criminal convictions. Look at the trail cams they have set up. Bales of marijuana, AR rifles slung across their stroller, the AK-47s and AR-15s. I mean, enough is enough. These are, what's coming across are gang members, drug smugglers, human smugglers, child molesters, rapists. Enough is enough. It's an armed invasion. But even if you took the arms, it's still an invasion. It's in violation of the Constitution. It is impeachable. It's his constitutional duty. And he not only neglects to do it, now he's refusing to do it. It is impeachable.
All right, as we mentioned earlier, you're a longtime veteran of the Maricopa County Sheriff's Department. There are reports that a Mexican drug cartel has offered $1 million on the head of Sheriff Joe Arpaio. Now, are these threats something your state is prepared to deal with, and are these threats having any impact on enforcement?
We've got 23,000 deaths in the last 3 years along that border that are drug-related, 300 to 500 beheadings. These people certainly have no conscience about murder, and they're killing politicians down there, they're killing police officers down there. Certainly, you're right, they are capable of almost anything. That ought to concern everybody. What concerns me is the fact that you got the Justice Department running down to Arizona in mass, trying to follow Sheriff Joe around to see if he violates somebody's rights while he's arresting thousands of these folks. And I'm sure if you want to find fault, you probably can. But they're following the law and they're following the training that was given to them to do this by ICE, by the federal folks. But yet I don't hear of any of them coming to back him up and help him while his life is being threatened for enforcing the laws, protecting his citizens, doing what's right. And yet I hear nothing from D.C. worried about that. That is an elected sheriff's life being threatened. Where are they at now? The silence is almost deafening from Washington, D.C.
Arizona State Senator Russell Pearce, the man behind Arizona's immigration law. Thanks so much for sharing your thoughts with us here at Newsmax.
Thank you for allowing me the timing. And God bless you, and may God continue to bless this republic.
And thank you for watching Newsmax TV.